Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are down in South Central Texas and we're going to do a little bit of spelunking today. So y'all come along, we'll go check out some caves.
Alright, well my name's Amy. I'm going to be your tour guide for today, and before we get started, I have a few rules for you to please follow. Do not touch any of the rocks or the walls inside the cave because the oils on our skin will kill it and it will no longer grow. And then just make sure you stay behind me because I know where all the dangerous spots are, and pretty spots of course, so please no wandering off either. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, well do keep in mind we will be going down and up about 8 stories, so going down is much easier than going up. And in some areas are going to be quite slick with water, so just make sure you watch where you step so you don't fall because that's embarrassing. So let's go ahead and get started. Don't be shy. For you taller folks, do watch your head. It gets really low over here. Alright, so now that we're actually inside the cave, would you folks like a little history lesson?
Sure.
Yes. Alright, so the entrance that we just came through is obviously not the real entrance to the cave. The real entrance to the cave is going to be right above our heads, and it's this massive sinkhole that we see up here. So once you get to where I'm standing, you'll get a pretty clear view of this sinkhole. But basically, this is how the cave was really first discovered and used by moonshiners during the Prohibition era. So back when alcohol was banned in the 1920s and 30s, a bunch of middle-aged alcoholic men needed a place to come and illegally brew their moonshine right down here. So these boys brewed for about 13 years in this cave, but once Prohibition was lifted, they got all of the supplies and left, never to be seen again. But then a few years later in 1937, so a 7-year-old girl named Mary and then her 10 and 14-year-old brothers decided to come in after the moonshiners and actually explore all of the cave that I'm about to show you. So it was definitely Mary's idea to explore, obviously not her brothers. Yeah, and her brothers decided to drop Mary down into the cave first. So the boys dropped little Mary about 50 feet of rope into pitch black darkness, and then they dropped her another 45 feet over here. So yeah, their parents were out of town. So anyways, feel free to take as many pictures as you want and ask lots of questions because that's what you're here for, or just to soak it all in. It's totally up to you, so let's go ahead and continue.
Be careful.
Alrighty folks, so as you make your way down, no rush at all, but if you look over here on your left, this is the exact spot where that whiskey still once stood. Because if you look directly above, you'll see a bunch of black ash ensued as a result from all those years of brewing. So those boys were at it pretty hard because this will never ever go away. It's like a snapshot in time from the 1920s and 30s. And then just a refresher, stalagmites are rocks that mightily grow up from the ground, and stalactites hang tight to the ceiling. But if you look closely, this exact stalagmite is the stalagmite that the kids tied their rope to and dropped about 45 feet from where I'm standing into pitch black darkness. So you can still see the rope marks on there. But anyways, the cave was then bought in 1938 and opened up to the public late 1939. So that being said, these next few staircases are original from 1939. And they're very slippery, so be careful. And then for you taller folks, do watch your head one last time as you come down. We are at the bottom. Alright, we'll go ahead and turn these lights on. Alrighty folks, so I know a few of you have been to other caves before, but does anyone actually know how caves are formed? Any geniuses in the room? It's one word and we drink it a lot. Water, yeah. So a super, or that. So a super long time ago, whenever cavemen roamed the earth, this was a huge underground river. And we know that because if you look over here, you can see where an ancient sand bed used to lie and became fossilized over time. So periodically throughout the cave, we can see this sand bed. So that means that this is a huge limestone cave like most of their caves in Texas. That also means there's lots of fossils in the walls. So would you like to see some fossils?
I think.
Yes? Okay. Yes, that is right. So if y'all come up here and look closely, let's see. We have a fossilized shark's tooth right here. Do y'all see that right there?
Yes, ma'am.
And then another one right over here. And then we have part of a spine right here. And then an ancient squid called an ammonite, but a super small one right here. So lots of fossils in the wall. And it's crazy to think that huge sharks used to swim right where we're standing.
Megalodons.
All right, so besides fossils, does anyone like bats?
Yes.
Bats, they're okay. They're kind of stinky, so I don't like them too much. But we do get one species of bat, and it's a microbat species called a tricolor, meaning this is about as big as they get. So they're super small, and they're non-colonial, meaning they come by themselves, so we rarely ever see bats, which is kind of a nice thing. All right, and since we are in the USA, we have our mascot overlooking us, the bald eagle. Yeah, I carved it myself. All right, and then as we make our way this way, do watch out for these stalagmites. People like to trip over them, including me. Alrighty everyone, so as y'all make your way this way, if you look over here on this wall, we have our beautiful drapery formations. So this is something our cave is known for because the biggest piece of drapery we have is almost 11 feet long. That's way far in the back, we'll get to it later, but a lot of photographers from across the state like to get pictures of it. And then right above us we have our soda straw stalactites.
Yep.
So they're these super skinny guys and they're hollow on the inside, hence the name soda straw. But they're also very fragile, so they tend to fall on the ground sometimes. So if you see one, you can keep it, just don't tell my boss. Don't leave that in there. And then over here, do y'all see this white blob? So this is a baby stalagmite, meaning it's a newly formed rock. So I want y'all to go ahead and guess how old you think this is.
10,000.
100 years, 10,000? So our little environmentalist right here got it right. It's about 10,000 years old. So per 1 inch of cave growth is about 10,000 years. So caves grow super slow. In fact, one of the oldest formations we believe in this cave is this huge centerpiece over here. So if y'all turn around, this is called a column, and it touches both the ceiling and the ground. But instead of getting longer over time, it just gets wider, kind of like humans. Right. So, does anyone have any questions before we move into our next room? No? Okay, well, this first room we're gonna head into is called the food court room, and it is the smallest room in the cave, so if you feel cramped, feel free to spread out, but let's go ahead and continue this way. All right, so if you're like me and you need some protein in the morning, we got a fried egg right here. Yeah. Or if you're organic, we got cage-free right here. Yeah, sorry guys, there's lots of dad jokes in the script, just to forewarn you. Yeah, I didn't write it. Anyways, so the reason why we have this formation caged off is because this is a super fast growing stalagmite. Like I told you over there, it takes about 10,000 years for 1 inch. Well, this is about 3 years of cave growth and it's only about 83 years old. So it began to grow on top of the concrete that was poured here in 1939. So we like to call this our cave miracle. Same case with this little guy right here. All right. So with our eggs, what else do we like for breakfast? Bacon. Eggs and bacon. Right behind you, sir, we got some cave bacon right over here. And then if you want something salty, we have some popcorn up here. Although these formations, over time, they become smooth and their crystals begin to emerge, which is what we see right there.
That's cool.
So that is just a calcite crystal. That's one of the very few crystals here in this cave. Although every single crystal in the gift shop come from Latin America because it's fairly affordable to get them there because they're quite abundant. And then right above us, we have our cave carrot. And then if y'all look under, we have our 40 scoop ice cream cone.
Oh, that's scary.
Y'all should guess what flavor it is.
Chocolate?
It's another dad joke. Who said it?
Rocky Road?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Hilarious.
Ha ha ha.
Been saying that joke every day for the past 2 years.
Never
Never gets old. All right. Over here we got some frozen cave grapes.
That's delicious.
Yeah. Looks pretty good. All right, everyone. And then this next part, y'all gonna have to get a little muddy. Is that okay with y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We have to go underneath this wall.
Yeah.
I think you should go first. No, I'm kidding. No.
Yeah.
Actually, no. But if y'all do bend over a little bit and look underneath, if you were to crawl about almost 50 feet back, you would enter another room quite similar to this one, except the ceiling is like 3 times taller. So it's a huge room. Yep. So I'm only showing y'all about 1/4 of a mile of this cave, but this cave in total is about 5 miles long. So it's a huge cave system. Folks, how the cave got its no name? I don't think I did. All right, so when the cave was bought in 1938, it underwent almost 2 years of renovation. So that means adding all the ground, all the lights, and the stairs that the owner forgot to name the cave. Well, the owner actually never forgot to name the cave. He just wasn't a very creative guy. So what he decided to do was to go to some of the world's best cave namers, little kids. He went to the local elementary school here in Boerne, Texas, and held a contest for $250 for the first place. Now that was a lot of money back then. That's about $3,000 in today's time for one kid. So one boy said, "Sir, this cave is too beautiful to be named. Why not name it cave without a name?" And we think he was talking about this room right here. So this is our main event room. This is where we host all of our concerts, weddings, even music videos and meetings, you name it. So let's go ahead and continue this way. And if all of y'all can just stay with the group, please. I don't want anyone wandering off.
You can get married down here.
Did you say you can get married down here?
Yep.
You can, yeah. So we typically have like 3 weddings a year. Sometimes people like to get their vows renewed down here. So.
Oh, that is so cool.
Nice.
That looks like that head. That looks like the alien.
All right, everyone. All of y'all in the back will get a chance to see this, but we like to call this our art room. So from where I'm standing, this looks like a nativity scene almost. Got like Joseph and the Lamb right there. And then right here, we call this our modern art because it looks like many different things. People have told me it looks like a jellyfish. I've heard Donald Trump's hair. The alien.
Alien versus British.
Alien. Maybe a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, mushroom phone. Alrighty, folks. So the reason why we like to utilize this room for our events is not necessarily because of the size, but it's because of the amazing acoustics. So if you know anything about sound, you'll know that sound carries really well when there's huge bowls in the ceiling. So these bowls were caused by super high air pressure when this was an underground river millions of years ago. So that being said, do we have any good whistlers in here? That is so creepy. Can you do that one more time?
Ow, that sounds like a firework.
So scary. Anyways, as you can hear, that was really impressive. Echo carries really far. Alright, y'all can come to one of our concerts. Over here we have our beautiful Christmas tree. Alright guys, well then if you're ready, you can go ahead and follow me to our next room. Alrighty folks, so as y'all gather around, y'all can come on both sides so everyone in the back can see as well. Welcome to our pools of deceit. So they are exactly what they sound like. I've worked here for about 2 years now, and in that time frame, my coworkers have always told me that this pool of water is 8 feet deep. So obviously I'm very gullible because it's not. But when it's filled to the brim, it's about 4 feet deep, which is still way deeper than it looks, right? So the reasoning behind this is that this water is so clear, it perfectly reflects its surroundings, so we're never looking at the bottom of the pool.
It's cool.
Yeah, it
Oh
is.
yeah, you can see the water.
So that being said, guess how deep this pool of water is when it's filled to the top?
Like
3 feet?
3 feet. 2 inches.
2 inches? Anyone else?
If I get my foot in there, if I can stack my feet on top.
So this is about 11 feet right here.
That's so
Yep.
cool.
So once you step in, you'll sink immediately under right over here.
See, this looks like here's like the.
I think you need to jump in and prove it to us. Should we throw them in?
I want to be a pro in the pool.
Guys, I'm kidding. This is 9 inches. So all of these are as deep as they look, just a few inches deep. But this one still, in fact, is 4 feet deep.
Like this is like the pool, and right here looks like it's the hot.
The hot tub? Yeah, it could be. Alright. Over here we got our zombie hands sticking up from the wall. And then right over here we got a toilet. Don't look inside. Alright, and then as we walk down this next pathway, y'all do be really careful. It's slick and I don't want to see anyone fall, so let's go ahead. Alright guys, welcome to the tower room. So this is officially the tallest room in the cave. So from the ground all the way up to the ceiling is roughly 99 feet tall. And then scary enough, from the ceiling to the surface of the earth is only about 6 feet in between. So that's not a lot of space. That's as tall as some of you in here. You could easily bury a pool and it would just fall right through. But the reason as to why the ceiling is so tall is that all of these boulders, we believe, fell from the ceiling millions of years ago when there was heavy tectonic plate movement in this part of the United States. That doesn't really happen anymore, at least that we can feel, so it's not a worry whatsoever. But it's why our Leaning Tower of Bernie is growing on top of this boulder that fell all the way up here. All right. Does anyone believe in aliens? Just us? What? Well, I'm about to make y'all believe. So if you look up here, we got some ancient alien handwriting.
I seen.
Guess what it spells?
Beware of danger.
I heart
No.
caves.
No.
Yeah. I'm kidding. I mean, scientists, they say it's fossilized worms, but what do they know? It's not like they're smart. All right, and then over here we have our beautiful snowy mountain.
Yay.
Although all of these crystals are quite pretty, these crystals signify that this formation is dead, no longer growing, because there's no more water source to keep it alive. And these very crystals are called calcite deposits, and these would be the same things that form underneath your water faucets if you have super hard water. Alrighty folks, so once y'all come over here, if y'all look directly up, this is that 99-foot mark. So super, super tall, but yeah, pretty tall, right? If anyone's into photography of really good pictures, also where I'm standing, and if you look directly up, these kind of look like angel wings. So that's a pretty popular shot as well.
That is true.
Alrighty folks, so they say everything's bigger in Texas because quite literally it is. Over here we got the world's biggest bacon. So from the base all the way to the end is almost 11 feet tall, although these formations are very, very fragile. And then we have some more fossilized worm burrows up here.
And I see.
And then as we approach our next stopping point, please feel free to take a seat because I will be turning off all the lights. Alrighty folks, so before I turn off these lights, is there anyone who's like deathly afraid of the dark? Any imminent fears or phobias? Hug the person next to you, even if they're a stranger. Make sure all of y'all's phones or watches are off so you can get the full effect. And lights will be going off in 5, 4, 1. So this is about as dark as darkness can and will ever get here on Earth. After being in this dark for so long, let's say about 3 days, you'll start to have very vivid hallucinations of like wizards and gnomes and weird spirals out of the corner of your eyes. This is a defense mechanism that our brain doesn't tell us that we're not dying when really you are. Then after about 2 weeks of total darkness, you will lose your eyesight for about half a year. So humans, we need light a lot more than you would think, only because our eyes simply cannot adjust to darkness. Yeah, so when these children were exploring the cave, keep in mind these kids didn't have any of these paved roads to walk on. Instead, all of these kids had to crawl on all this rock and mud. So that was hard enough as it is, but then to top it off, these kids had no flashlights because flashlights were very expensive during the Great Depression. So what they decided to do is they got one kerosene lantern from their parents' bedroom, and for reference, this is almost about as much light as these kids had. So that's not a lot of light, right? But it was just enough to find their footing around the cave. So these kids were smart enough to realize that the only real dangers within the cave would be falling off a cliff or into a pool of water. So they would get their lantern and they would hold it really close to their feet, ensuring up their next step. So those kids were very smart kids. The brothers went on and joined the Navy and Air Force. One of them did die in war. And then little Mary, she became part of NASA's team for exploration, I believe. So yeah, little Mary is still alive to this day. She lives in Houston and she's like 95 years old. So I think she's gonna come back one last time and visit the cave before she passes away. So if she can make it up the stairs, so can you. If y'all look far enough over here, you can see a light. Y'all see that? Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if any of y'all are from the hill country, but we get really bad lightning storms during the summer. No rain, just lightning. And so it was my tour. I probably had like 35 people all lined up, so it was a lot of people. All the lights were off. And the lightning bolt had struck a tree right above the cave in this vicinity, and somehow it caused this light bulb to explode and catch on fire. And then about 0.2 seconds after, every single light bulb went out in the cave. And I had like 20 like 9-year-old boys on my tour, and they came up to me with tears down their face. They're like, "Miss, what are we gonna do?" I was like, "Oh, we're all gonna die." And then moms got mad, and I was like, guys, relax. You have flashlights on your phones. So, for the most part, caves are very safe environments as long as you don't get flooded in and as long as they don't collapse. But that doesn't happen on our floor.
That's good. At least we hope.
Alright, folks, if you're ready, we can go ahead and make it to our last stop. Alright, guys, so this is where the cave commercially ends, but the cave naturally doesn't end for about another, let's say, 2 miles this way, and who knows however long this way. So like I told you earlier, this cave is about 5 miles long in total, super huge cave system, but the only reason why our cave is so big is because of this river over here. So this comes from above the ground at some point. We believe it's an extension of the Guadalupe River. So yeah, but this water is also very cold. It's about 47 degrees Fahrenheit, meaning you would die of hypothermia in about an hour, unless if you're in special equipment like a dry suit. But in about 2013, we had a group of scuba divers. So they went down the cave river about 1.5 miles this way, and that took them 2 weeks just to go there and back. So as you can imagine, it's quite a treacherous process. In fact, they recorded the entire thing. It's on YouTube if you ever want to check it out. All right, everyone, so now we have reached the end of our tour, which means we're ready for the most fun part, going up the stairs.
I want to go to the
It is 8 stories going up, so please do take your time. But everyone, thank you so much for coming out to Cave Without a Name. Feel free to leave a good review once you get up to the top. If not, just smile, that's okay. But please do take your time going up, no running, please, and do take a break between. I'll take one of you. But y'all are more than welcome to go up, and thank y'all for coming.